This
Travel
conference
Central,
will now be
Travel
recorded.
Central here in Metairie. We're right out of the city of New Orleans for any of y'all not local to us. Today we have two hosts who are going to be joining us. Leetta Purdue, who actually has been with Travel Central for the last 10 years and a travel professional for the last 28 years. She is actually hosting a trip next October from Bucharest to Budapest on a river cruise with Avalon. And along with Leetta, we have Patrick. Patrick is Avalon Waterways. He works for them and he's going to be sharing all the wonderful things that Avalon does and has on their river cruises. Before we get started, if you want to ask questions, we are all muted. Please just put it in the chat box and we'll answer those at the end of the presentation. And with that, let me tell you a little bit about Travel Central and then we'll start the presentation on the river cruise. As I said, Travel Central is here in New Orleans. We've been around for since 1988. Our only goal is from the moment you call us to the moment you return home is to be your travel advocate. We offer our expertise, our resources, and our knowledge from the planning process to your return home to ensure you have a seamless, stress-free as possible vacation. The really nice thing about working with a travel agency is you get one agent is dedicated to you. They'll answer your questions, share their advice, and be available by phone, text, and email to help service your vacation. And finally, we are part of a big organization called Signature Travel Network. And with that, they bring the buying power and offer enhancements, upgrades, and even free nights on pre and post cruises. So so it's when you work with Travel Central, those benefits come to you. With that, I'm going to turn it over. Patrick and Leah are going to actually just share about river cruising, the day in the life of a river cruise, and a little bit about the day by day of this cruise. Thank you for joining us. I hope y'all enjoy it.
Thanks, Melinda. Hi, everyone. It's Pat Ludvigson. I'm one of the business development managers with Avalon Waterways and also the Globus family of brands, which is our parent company. Some of you may be familiar with Globus. We've been around for about 97 years and the largest escorted tour or guided tour company in the world. And Avalon Waterways, our award-winning river cruise line, is part of the family that we've been operating for over 20 years now. So first of all, thanks for joining us, and thanks for Melinda and Leetta. Leetta actually put all this together, so she's done the hard work, and she's also your local rep there. If you have any questions, want to know about availability and the options, whether it comes to this particular river cruise or any other trip that we offer, please be sure and give them a call. So let's go ahead and get started. Uh, we're going to get into the details of this particular 12-day Bucharest to Budapest here in just a couple of minutes. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about Avalon for those that may not be very familiar with us. So I mentioned we are part of the Globus family of brands. And as everyone probably knows, river cruising is probably still the hottest part of the cruise industry at this point. It's really growing by leaps and bounds. Especially with Avalon, it's because it's more of an inclusive environment in a very, very unique setting, going to the heart of the destination along all the major rivers in Europe. If any of you do read Cruise Critic, if you're an avid cruiser like myself, I started many years ago in the deep water and moved over to the rivers about 15 years ago, and I've been absolutely in love with it ever since. But some of the differences between us and our competitors, we'll start off with some of the awards. Cruise Critic Online, which is very well known for, once again, doing polls and letting readers and travelers actually vote on them, named us Best in Rivers for 2025. The readers poll for USA Today named Avalon #1 in river cruising. And for 4 years running, Cruise Critic is named as Best Cabins in River Cruising, and 2 years running Best Shore Excursions in River Cruising as well. We may not be as well known as some of the others, but that's why you go to a travel professional like Travel Central. They'll be able to give you these little gems of different companies that you may not be familiar with, but are very well known in our industry. So for river cruising, as I mentioned, it is more inclusive than deep water, and especially with Avalon. We include everything from a half day of guided sightseeing at every stop, as well as all your meals. We also provide complimentary beverages, beer, soda, and wine that's paired specially for lunch and for dinner time, which is unlimited. In the morning, you can start off with unlimited mimosas, and we also include happy hour as well. So very, very little for you to spend once you get on board the ship.
Can I
And
interrupt you really quickly, Patrick?
yes,
Okay.
So I just wanted to interject because one of the reasons why Avalon is my personal preferred travel company is because they have room service. So do you want to explain why that is not normal on the rivers?
Yeah, it's a couple slides up from this, but yeah, we are, as far as I know, the only one in the premium category that does offer room service. So it's anywhere from continental style breakfast in the morning to lunch or even dinner time. But kind of getting back to what we're into here, some of the things, key differences that make us different than our competition out there is we're focusing on the best views. So any of the public areas that you actually travel in or actually transit through, you'll be ceiling floor to ceiling windows so you don't miss a moment of the scenery. Also space. Our cabins are much larger than other cruise lines on the river, so that means fewer passengers and more space in public areas as well. And one of the things that Leanna's talking about is the meals on board, which is one of our choice programs. So when you eat, where you eat, it's really up to you. So we want our cruise to be your cruise for you to enjoy it the way you want to instead of necessarily the way we have it laid out. And when it comes to space and views, it really all starts with your cabin. And this is a shot of one of our panorama suites, which is 80% of the cabins on board the ship. You can do, once again, breakfast in here, lunch or dinner. It's totally up to you. But very spacious cabins. One of the things that we do focus on is the view. So floor to ceiling windows, 7 feet high, 11.5 feet wide, that open all the way up to let the view inside the room. Some of the cruise lines do have traditional balconies or smaller ones, and that's fine. It's just a difference in philosophy, but we feel that this offers actually about 30% more room in your cabin due to us utilizing what we call a French balcony. And we just feel that the extra space in the room really lends itself a little bit better to your experience while you're traveling with us. And with spacious bedrooms, we also have very, very spacious and very luxurious bathrooms also. And these are a picture of the ones that we do offer in the panorama suites. So, ladies, if you're familiar with L'Occitane bath products, I know Lietta is. Very high-end French variety that we do have complimentary in all of our bathrooms at all levels, whether it be our entry-level staterooms in category D and E, or our panorama suites, or even the royal suites. Speaking of the royal suites, we do have a couple of them on board the ship. These are actually 300 square foot. It does give you a double balcony, one in front of the bedroom area and then one in front of the sitting area. We do have flat screen TVs in all of the staterooms. You have two of them in the royal suites. Not that you're necessarily in Europe to watch TV, but if you want to keep up with the latest what's happening in the news, you can do that. And also, first run movies are free of charge if you want to catch a flick later on in the evening time. All of our staterooms are equipped with mini refrigerators, stocked honor bar style. There is a charge for anything you use in the honor bar. Just as a helpful hint to you, you can have the room steward or stewardess move everything out of the fridge for you. And I know my wife and I, when we travel on Avalon, usually our first or second stop, we might find a nice bottle of wine or something else that we want to share once we get on board the ship. And you can bring alcohol and drinks back on board. We treat you like adults. We don't take it from you at the gangway as some of the big ships in the Caribbean do. Also, in all of our staterooms, we offer comfort collection beds and also pillow menus. So the firmness of your mattress can be adjusted. Just let your room steward know. And the same thing with your pillows. If you want them softer, firmer, or something in between, all you have to do is let them know and they'll bring the menu in for you. And you can kind of pick and choose what you're wanting. Our entry level staterooms, category D and E, they start off at 172 square feet. And as you can see, where some of our competition starts off on, we are actually the largest staterooms in the industry. Once again, we run about 30% larger than industry standards. So 172 square foot. They're very nicely appointed cabins. You're not going to have the view that you would with, once again, the panorama suites, which we were showing you earlier, which are 200 square foot, having the floor to ceiling window and the nonstop views. However, if you are a single passenger and you're traveling by yourself, these are always a good option for you, making the trip a little bit more affordable. But same amenities, once again, with room service as well as L'Occitane bath products and everything else that we offer in all of our other staterooms. And getting back into space and views, All of our lounges. This is the club lounge, one of my favorite places. Leetta, you may feel the same way about this too, but the thing I love about this area is it's all the way aft on deck number 2. And once you get back there, very few people tend to find it until later on in the cruise. But once again, floor to ceiling windows, views everywhere. We also have a specialty coffee machine that's available 24/7 located back here. That you can do everything from cappuccinos to hot chocolate, teas. If you're a water drinker like I am, I do carry a water bottle with me. We even have water stations back here where you can dial in what you're looking for, whether it be still water, sparkling water, vitamin or flavor infused. It's all available back here, as well as some great snacks that change throughout the day. In the morning, it could be fresh hot donuts and blueberry muffins. And then it kind of morphs in the afternoon to other snacks, including homemade cookies. So it's a great place to get to know. It's kind of a quiet area where if you want to go back and do some reading, you can do that. Or once again, there's a flat screen TV back here and games available if you'd like to use them.
Now, can I interject right here, Patrick?
Yeah, go ahead.
He's on an active and discovery Avalon, and this is where the adventure host, who was simply dedicated to the adventure and the like yoga minded people, that every morning and every afternoon they'd kind of clear all that stuff out of the way, and then they would do stretch classes in the
Yes,
back.
they can
Yeah.
do them here or else up top on the observation of the sky deck, just depending on what the weather is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do the stretching and a couple other neat things that we'll be talking about. Dining room, very, very important part of your whole trip, and the food is very, very fresh. One of the things that a smaller ship brings you is also smaller storage area for us. So throughout your cruise, you'll see our crew and staff forming a fireman's chain, loading on fresh vegetables and produce, as well as different proteins from our vendors that are on the riverside and also the mountains. So everything's very, very fresh. As far as being able to sit, it's open seating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner time. If you find another couple you'd like to have dinner with, we have a lot of two tops that we can marry together into a four top, or once again, even some six seaters if you have a couple of different folks that you want to be able to sit with. Morning, we start off breakfast buffet. However, which I find hard to believe, but if you don't find something you like on the buffet, just be sure and tell your waiter or your waitress, and they can pretty much order anything from Belgian waffles, eggs Benedict, and there's also small menu items that you can order from. Or if you don't see what you're looking for, just tell them the chef is there to please you. So they'll do everything they can to make sure that you're having the breakfast of your choice. Lunch is also done in buffet style here as well. Dinner is sit down, wonderful service. And once again, every night it's going to be specially paired wines, usually a red, a white, and a local for you to choose from, depending on what the menu items are for that evening. And of course, it's unlimited. Our main lounge area, the Panorama Bar, very, very popular place. Once again, we do include happy hour for about an hour right before dinner time every evening. So this is also where the entertainment takes place in the evening time, whether it be singing, dancing, karaoke. There's a lot going on throughout the cruise. And also another coffee machine that's located just to the left of the bar. So if you would like to have a cappuccino while you're up watching the entertainment or else dancing, you can do that as well. That is self-serve. And further up in the lounge area, you can see floor to ceiling windows. So you'll never compromise your views from where you sit on any of our ships. And one of my favorite places on the ship, if you keep going forward on this lounge area, oops, you'll see our observation lounge, which I like to call the front porch of the ship, if you will. Beautiful place where you can even have alfresco lunch out here if we're doing a cookout up on the top deck, or if we're just cruising the river and your cruise director will be talking about the castles coming up or the vineyards, and you'll be able to hear everything right from here while once again being comfortable and out of the sun. When it comes to choice, big choice is where and what you eat. So as we mentioned earlier, room service definitely available, which is very, very unique on the rivers. The picture on the upper right-hand corner, if you look there, that's going to be on our sky deck or observation deck. Depending on weather and the itinerary, we'll try to do some cookouts up there. Most different varieties of meat I've ever seen on a grill. So there's usually steak, chicken, sausage, a variety of different things. And obviously, we'll supply ice cold beer or else soft drinks, teas, or wines, whatever you want during the meal times. In the lower left-hand corner of the picture that you're looking at is what we call our bistro area. It's another personal favorite of mine. So after 6 p.m., gentlemen, we do request that you wear slacks in the dining room. We are country club casual, so there's really no need to bring a sports coat unless you want to. Very seldom do you see any of the gentlemen wearing a tie, even on the dressiest night, which is the captain's farewell. So nice pair of Dockers and a golf shirt, guys, are usually good for the whole week. But the bistro up here, if you're spending a little bit more time in town, you don't have to rush to get back to dinner on time. You can, once again, go into the dining room if you want to be seated and served, and you can start your dining experience. Even though we start serving at 7 p.m., you can come in as late as 8:30 and start your dining experience as part of Avalon Choice. Or you can come up here to the bistro, which is the main lounge area, all the way forward and have the exact same menu that we're serving down in the dining room. However, you come as you are. Also, the portions are in more of a smaller style, almost tapas style, if you will. But the whole menu is there for you to choose from, and it's self-serve. I like it for a couple of reasons. One, I can come casual if I want to go back into town that evening. Or number two, if I know what's going to be on the menu, I may want to try multiple entrees. And down in the dining room, they're full portions, so I can't really do that without wasting food, and I don't like to do that. However, if I come up to the bistro, everything's in smaller portions, and you can self-serve and have as much or as little of anything as you want. So it's a great way to kind of try a little bit of everything on the menu if you choose to. Also, if you are taking the bikes out independently and you're going to be gone over lunch or in mealtime, let us know and we can pack you a picnic lunch to kind of go along with your bike ride. Another thing that makes us unique as far as Avalon goes is we do include a half day of guided sightseeing. Most cruise lines will tell you which one of the tours is going to be included free of charge. With us, you have a choice. We offer our classic, active, and discovery type tours. The classic tours are going to be the must-sees, the highlights, if you will. Active can be anything from bike rides that are escorted by certified tour guides who are specialists in the mode of transportation they're using. I've done some on the Danube that were 24 miles down the river where we were stopping in towns and villages that even the ships don't stop in. So it was a very, very unique experience. Or I've done things such as canoe trips or else even kayaking trips in Amsterdam or even down the Danube. So it's a little bit more of an active style, which is an option for you to take advantage of if this is the type of thing you like to do. If not discovery, we do offer on some of our, once again, depending on which itinerary you're on, you might see a heavier percentage of classic versus active and discovery. Our discovery is going to be more hands-on engagement or immersion. So I've done everything from local cooking classes in Vienna, where we went into a local restaurant, strapped on aprons, got in the kitchen, learned how to make risotto and Wiener Schnitzel, then having a fabulous wine pairing and a nice lunch afterwards. Or maybe going to an art museum and learning about Van Gogh and the Impressionists and what made them unique. And then at the end of the day, with the help of an expert, getting a chance to do your own oil painting. So it's something along these lines that you can actually choose from once you actually board our ship, or actually after you make your reservation, you'll have a landing page available that will show you all the tours that are included and any optionals that you may want to take advantage of as well. Starlink. So we do offer free Wi-Fi on board all of our ships. We do use Starlink on the whole fleet. Matter of fact, this year we just added a second antenna to all of our ships, so we doubled the bandwidth. So I will tell you up front, if you're going through one of our locks, which transit you have to transit through on the rivers, you may have a little bit of interference there or a 90-degree turn in the river. But other than that, the Wi-Fi is pretty good on board. We also offer our mobile app, which in this case would be our Avalon Go app, which about 2 weeks prior for the departure, you'll be able to download this whether using Android or iOS. There's a version for each, and they're free of charge at any of the app stores. And 2 weeks prior to your departure, all you have to do is put in your last name, your booking number, and it will download your entire vacation on all your documents to your mobile devices. So very, very handy, very neat. Also, interactive maps on board of all of the different towns and villages that you're going to be visiting on your trip. And you can even drop a pin where the ship is actually docked. So if you're doing self-guided tours, it's easy for you to navigate back to the ship itself. We do cover all the major rivers in Europe, anywhere from 5-night cruises to 24-night cruises. So depending on the length of time that you're looking to travel with us, we've got a little bit of something to offer for all of you. So let's kind of segue a little bit into the trip itself that Lietta has been kind enough to put together. And you'll be escorting this one too, right, Lietta?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
So you
Yes,
guys are
pretty
you're
much.
doubly blessed. You got a great itinerary, a great product you're going to be traveling with, but even better, you're going to be traveling with one of the best travel advisors in the business, and definitely in the Metairie area. Lietta and I, we've been doing business for a
I'm
long time.
sorry. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Patrick. That would be the world.
Oh,
So
sorry.
yeah.
Let me open that up for you.
Right, thank you.
So overnight flights, they are not included in the package price. However, we can add these on, and if you're doing air with us, it would include the transfers from the airport to the ship. And on reverse, if you're leaving the day after the cruise or the day the cruise ends, we'll also have complimentary transfers from the ship to the airport for you as well. So overnight flights into Europe and then arriving in Bucharest on day one, which is going to be an independent day. And beautiful Bucharest, you'll be able to enjoy independence, if you will, here. Hopefully you'll get in early enough where you'll be able to just drop your bags at the hotel until rooms are ready, depending on when you're arriving. If it's before 3 o'clock, sometimes the rooms are still making them up from the night before, but there is still plenty to do. And I definitely recommend spending some time independently here, maybe even enjoying the city and discovering some of the trendy shops and cafes, museums, and beautiful homes and churches along Victory Avenue. And not only Victory Avenue, but also Victory Square, where most of the shops are located. Day two, we're moving along already into Bucharest. And then from Bucharest, visiting Thanaya and Wrocław. Sorry about the pronunciations there, guys. Only one other language is more difficult than some of these, and that's going to be the Hungarians. But on day two, you will have a classic excursion where you'll be able to drive into the Carpathian Mountains and to Sanaya and also see the magnificent castle. This afternoon, after your visit here, we'll be off to Wrocław for the evening, which leads us into day three. We'll be offering at least two classic excursions here. A morning one, a guided sightseeing tour of Wrocław, followed by some free times for you to do some shopping. And then in the evening, also a tour of Bran Castle of Dracula, followed by dinner. And here's a picture of the castle itself in Transylvania, of course, famous for spawning the original vampire legend of Count Dracula. So this is like the big draw, if you will. I have not had a chance to do this. It is on my short list of doing it, so I'm really jealous and wish I could be going with you guys on this. Day four, Brasov into Bucharest and Onita, I believe is the pronunciation correctly for this. And that's where you'll actually be embarking your Avalon suite ship. Also traveling once again in Bucharest over and to see the Arc of Triumph, as well as the Royal Palace Square. This is going to be classic excursions. And the Royal Palace Square, it's the Palace of the Republic between 1948 and 1990. It's pretty much situated in the capital of Romania. And day 5, and Rouse, as well as Veliko and Tarnovo. Arbanasa, the excursion. Veliko Tarnovo is actually the old capital of Bulgaria, excuse me. The city's, beautifully located in the several hills, full history of the area and the Bulgarian capital. It's also known as the Second Bulgaria Kingdom. Oh, and beautiful Church of Nativity. This is in Arbanasa, which is also something you'll be able to experience firsthand. Day 6 in Weiden will be offering an active excursion as well as a classic on this particular day, and then doing an overnight cruise down the river. The active is a wander and discover this town, with, actually in conjunction with your adventure host that Lieta, I'm sorry, was talking about a little bit earlier. The adventure host is going to be doing an organized bike tour here, or you can do a classic excursion of Belogradchik. Day 7, the Iron Gate Gorge, which is the highlight of this particular cruise, Gulabek in Serbia as well. We'll be doing classic excursions here, guided tour, right up to the archaeological site of chronicling prehistoric cultures, settlements, and art. We'll be doing an overnight cruise to Belgrade from here as well. Some of the sites along the riverbanks. And of course, picturesque Iron Gate Gorge. Day 8 into Belgrade. Now, I have been to Belgrade, and I got to tell you, the Church of St. Sava is probably one of the most ornate places I've seen, and I've been to been very fortunate to see a lot of different things. I was just there in March, and the interior still has a little bit of construction going on, but for the most part, I'd say they're like 98% finished with it. Absolutely magnificent place to visit. Highly recommend this on your list. So there will be an active excursion and a classic offered on this particular day, and also have some optional guided biking time for you to kind of have individual time in the tour and do your self-guided tour, if you will, while you're in town. And day 9 on to Novi Sad. Day 10 in Elok. We'll be offering a discovery excursion as well as classic excursions while here in Croatia. The classic excursion is a walking tour, the city, the largest river port in Croatia. And we'll be doing an overnight cruise to Moax, which is going to be your next port of call on day 11. In Moax, classic excursion, actually 2 of them, a morning guided sightseeing tour, quiet Danube Harbor and its town, a historical memorial park, statues, as well as the distinctive churches as well. There's also a classic excursion. You can take a guided tour up to the 4th century Christian underground tombs, which are also in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That afternoon, and the overnight cruise into Budapest. Budapest, if you haven't been, this is really known as the Paris of Eastern Europe. It's absolutely magnificent. If you have the ability to spend a little bit of extra time here so you can see Fisherman's Bastion and also both sides, Buda and the Pest side, they both offer a lot. A lot of history here, especially for during the communist occupation, and also Parliament building, which is not far. It's really a walking town, I would say, but the guided tours here are absolutely fabulous. And we usually do an illumination cruise in the evening time, where I'm sure you've all seen pictures of Budapest when it's all lit up at night. It's one of the most remarkable places I've had the privilege of visiting a number of times. And then, unfortunately, after day 12 disembarkation, and it's on the way home unless you're doing some sort of a post stay with us or even independently. Leanna,
Okay,
you
so
want,
as I
want
say,
to
Leah, do you want to jump in and share and talk a little about? I can tell you that we have been. I have not done what y'all are doing, but I have been to Budapest, and it is a great city. We actually did a bike tour around it, and it was a lot of fun. And we did a food walking tour. So those are some of the activities that, if you decide, I would, if you're not staying, I would highly recommend staying.
Did you make it to the local market while you were there, Melinda?
Did the local market, as well as I went over and did one of the springs places where you sit in a hot
Oh,
spring. So
those are so
so
awesome.
they
Yes,
are. So
yes.
and
Yeah.
we actually sailed at night, so we were actually sitting in the hot tub on the back of the boat and watching the Parliament go by. So it is a beautiful city.
Yeah, it's a remarkable place without a doubt. And once again, one time in Budapest is never enough, I find.
Well, I'm going to be in Budapest in a week.
Oh, jealous.
So I'm going to come in for a couple days beforehand, and then I'm getting on an Avalon 2-week trip from Budapest to Amsterdam, where we're actually going to spend 2 nights in Budapest on the boat. Or
You'll
one
have
night.
a great
One
time.
night on the boat, but 2 days basically. So I'm really looking forward to that. I had done a river cruise, and it said 2 days in Budapest, but how the sailing went was it only worked out to be about a half a day. So I had to come back and revisit it all over again. So that'll be fun.
Well, they're great restaurants, and like I said, plenty to do, as you know. So try to pack in as much as you can into the 2 days you'll be there.
And then one of the things I wanted to point out here is Transylvania. So when I had invited some people on this, they had said to me, they said, I didn't know Transylvania was a real place. So, and this does land over the Halloween break time, but you're not going to be in Dracula's palace on the 31st. You'll be cruising down that gorge, but we don't want to be in Dracula's palace on the 31st because we don't want to be eaten by Dracula.
Yeah, I would probably avoid it if at all
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. So we'll be able to survive that. But
Good.
one of the reasons why this was really an interesting location is that, yes, I've done the rivers and they're beautiful. I'm doing them again because when you do rivers, you can go back and revisit them because there's so many options during the day for you to do. Like in one town, you could do a walking tour, or let me give you an example. One of the towns that I visited when I was with Avalon in Provence, you could do a cave, going into a cave and doing a wine tasting in the dark. You could go into that same cave with the adventure host spelunking, which of course I didn't do, and they had their little rubber suits on and they went through the water. And then you could have done another wine tasting out in the wine region, and then you could have done like a city a tour of some kind. So going back and revisiting the same river, I did one thing, and now I can do another thing. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a river is a one and done experience. There's lots of things to do, and you don't have to say, well, I've done the Danube, so I don't need to do the Danube again. You didn't do everything.
Yeah. Do it as many times as you can because there's always something new along there. And you know what, Leanna, also, I have people all the time at consumer events saying, well, it's it's a river cruise. I hear you just sit on the deck and drink wine and watch it all go by. And actually, you can do that. But I can tell you from personal experience, after a week to 10 days on the rivers, it does take a lot out of you. We're going to keep you on the go. There's plenty to see. And unless you want to sit and just watch it all go by, you can do pretty much anything that you want to. There's
Right.
always something going on.
Yeah, like a typical day on the river is your touring in the morning would start around 8. So you're going to get up, go to breakfast, or if you're like me, my alarm clock is the knock on the door, open it up, and there's coffee. So that's how I like to wake up. And I know everybody has their own special thing that they like. Like Melinda loves to have her laundry done for her. You know what I mean? She just loves it. That's her favorite thing. Mine is definitely a breakfast room service situation. I remember when I was on another company and it was a really nice one. They didn't have it. So having to get up and walk down the hallway to go get a cup of coffee to bring it back to my cabin to get ready was just, I didn't like it. I didn't think that was very luxury, to be honest with you. So, but anyhow, so you're going to get dressed, you're going to go downstairs, you're going to bring your little headset that attaches to your walking guide so you can wander off and hear what they're saying. I'm notorious for wandering off and all of a sudden it breaks up and they're gone. And then I look and I can't find them. I do it all the time. So, so you have your whisper headsets, and then you normally would go off and do like a 2 or 3, 4-hour traditional kind of time frame, and then come back to the boat for lunch. And then either you're going to be sailing, cruising down the rivers for a couple hours, or you're going to be overnighting, and then you have the option to go off and do something independent on your own. So that's why I really, really like river cruising, because they do have a lot of independence, and I like that. Or there's another touring option. For example, you could go off and go into Schronberg Palace or something like that. Take in, some sort of
Waltz concert.
Waltz or whatever. Now I've done that, so that's an optional that costs more, not a lot more. I think it's like $100, but I've already done it. So, you know what I mean? So, or I may not like that. I don't want to do that. So that gives me that opportunity to.
Sure. And of course, we're right in the heart of the destination. So it's literally just walking distance to most of the city centers.
Right, right. And this particular itinerary really spoke to me because I am very interested in, Eastern Europe, the history. It's really untouched. You know what I mean? It's not over tourism. In fact, one of the reasons why I am doing a river for Romania was always on my bucket list. I've been talking about, but they just didn't have the infrastructure with the hotels and tourism to really handle, and I don't mean to be bougie, but to handle the level of travel that I'm used to or I'm okay with. I need an air conditioning. You know what I mean? So that's something that I need. So there's not a lot of these villages and towns that you can go to that have that sort of infrastructure. So that's why taking the river through this, I will be able to have all of the luxuries that I want and I'm used to. And yet I have all these places at my fingertips that I have never seen. And I'm fascinated with it. I'm fascinated with all of the war history and the communism and World War II and how they rebuilt and how they're doing now and their association with the EU and and all of that and Bucharest being at one time a more celebrated city than Paris, so I need to see that. I've been to Paris a few times.
In Belgrade, they've left a lot of the buildings up that you'll be able to see, bomb blasts as well as bullet holes and things like that. A lot of it's still there.
Yeah.
So, it's just not history we'll be talking about, history that you'll be shown.
Right. Right. So yeah, I'm this has been on my radar for a long time. I'm really glad that I'm doing it. I like traveling also during this time frame. So it's the same. I'm traveling this year about the same time I'm going next year. I'm leaving here on November 4th. I come back. I'm doing a 15-night river cruise, so I won't come back until the end of November. I like it because it's crisp and it's pretty. I'm going to be hitting some of the Christmas markets on mine that I'm doing, 2 of them, because they do come out early. They won't be on next year's, but you never know what's going to be happening during that time frame. You know,
No, but I agree. This is one of my two top times of the year to really love to travel on the rivers, and that's either spring or else in the fall. Seeing the leaves change a little bit, like you said, crisp in the air, a little bit cooler, and once again, fewer people that time of the year as well.
yeah, and those of us in Louisiana, we're like, we get to wear a sweater. And then we do get really, really cold and then, freak out if it's like 40 degrees, we think we're going to die. But that's all the fun of it. You know what I mean? So the weather temperatures are going to be anywhere into the 50s, down to the 40s. It could dip depending on, what any sort of weather is, into the 30s. It could go, 65. So all of that sort of, layering weather, that we don't get consistently here in New Orleans. It's fun. So,
Yeah, one other thing though, on the rivers, you don't have to worry about waves or anything else either. It's nice and calm all the time,
right.
even
And it's
during the
not
winter.
easy, like you're going so fast that you have a wind speed either. You know what I mean? You're
Right.
floating, so which is going to be really lovely. So, yeah. So I think that's basically, if you don't, I already can't tell my enthusiasm for Avalon. And I've been on other river cruises. I like them, but for me personally, one of the reasons why I like you guys so much is I just think that there's a little more element of an interesting experience that you have off boat. Because you're a tour company,
Right.
you have your own tour guides. They're all sort of vetted and trained by your, company. And versus some of the other companies, they're just going to hire one of the local from source out there. I'm not going to say who it was, but one time I was in Chesky Cromlo, beautiful medieval city, and the tour guide was walking down the street pointing at buildings, and all she was saying was, "This one was built in 1211. This one was built in 1312." And we were like, okay, well, when should we be back at the bus?
Yeah.
And we just went off and took care of ourselves.
Yeah, some of the river cruise lines utilize what they call regional guides, which, from a business standpoint makes a lot of sense because you can move them around a region and they know a little bit about everything. We only use local guides. And in these towns and areas, the local guides are tested, licensed, and bonded. And they're also restricted to the amount of passengers they can take. So your group sizes are smaller than on some of the other lines. So I think that little bit extra really adds to the experience as well.
I could really tell the difference. Plus, you guys were doing stuff that I hadn't experienced before, like cooking classes. And not just a cooking class or a demonstration. We were going and doing it in a school, and a real school, not a tourist cooking school, where you get your little apron and no, it was like a cooking school in Lyon. I did a painting class, and it's not like painting and drinking class. It was in Arles and it was done by the community center because they're trying to get more artists to come back there. So local artists had volunteered their time for anybody who wanted to come in and do painting. That's the kind of experiences that you guys bring to the table that make you unique and different. I just am saying.
Well, let me know when you want to move over and work for us.
That and the fact, and the other thing that I really like that really works for me is your fresh menu on the boat. So I do not like to eat heavy meals all the time. I don't want a 4 or 5 course meal every day. So your company has those two brothers from Vienna who have the vegan
Yep, the
restaurant,
Rink Brothers.
the Rick brothers, and they put on every menu. Every course will have a fresh course, so you'll have a vegan option. And I think they are vegan. I don't know if they're vegetarian. I think they go through vegan with it.
It's a little bit of both, but if anybody is, vegan or vegetarian, be sure and let Leetta know.
Yeah.
And then you actually get a private meeting with our chef and they will design a special menu just for you.
Right, and I have a client who has celiac disease, so that's even more of a careful situation. So you do have that ability to eat very fresh. And on the menu, I remember at the restaurant, sorry,
Liana, one
Yes.
other thing I don't want you to forget to add, I love the conversation, but also don't forget about the solo, and then also talk about how inexpensive it is for the 14-night cruise that you're doing.
Okay, thank you. I am a solo traveler. That doesn't mean I'm a single traveler. That just means that I will travel in my own room. So I will travel with other people, but I need my own room. And this company has so many solo cabins available on every sailing. So that is not true with other companies. And they roll them out all the time, like last minute solo option. No, if the sooner you book with Avalon, you would be able to qualify for one of the solo cabins. I'm going to guess, and you don't have to say anything, but I think there's 5 for sure, and they may open up more. And that means that you do not pay double the price. And that doesn't mean that you have a sort of extra. If it's $5,000 per person, that doesn't mean you're paying 8 and you get a 2,000. No, that means you're paying like 55. It's very, very, very fair. And I have noticed that there are a lot of people that have their solo cabins because they like to do multi-generational travel. That's what we call it. So me and my husband are going with my mom, who's recently widowed, and my sister, and whatever. And so there'll be a cabin um, that somebody just wants as a solo, and they don't allocate you just to that cabin that has only that swan view little window. Some of the cruise lines will be like, those are the only solo cabins that you can have. You can do solo in the big suite if you wanted to.
What? No, Royal Suites are the only ones we exclude from that. So yeah,
That's right. I do remember that. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's all right. So yeah, the
You
panorama
can
suites are
sleep in it yourself, so you can do that.
yeah. The
So
others are still pretty spacious.
yeah, but they're I mean, it's an extremely affordable way to have a luxury experience, and you will not understand it unless you get on it yourself, because it's not like any other travel. It should. I don't even equate it to anything cruise. In fact, I prefer to call it yachting. So it's river yachting. The lady who did a blowout on my hair was also the lady who was my waitress. So you get to know everybody. I'm actually Facebook friends with one of your hostesses from a trip a long time ago, and we keep in touch to this day. And you just can't really have that sort of.
No, everyone becomes family.
It's very, very friendly and very active. Also, don't think you are going to be able to get in there with your wheelchair, because you got to be able to get up the ramps, and you can't go all the way to the top on the elevator. There is an elevator in the boat. It just goes from the dining room to the main lounge, to the sort of 3rd floor. But
Yes.
it is not a senior citizen sort of trip with Avalon. I mean, you could, but you're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to want to get out there and go walking around and seeing the stuff. You gotta be active somewhat.
So how much space do we have on this particular group?
I think we're good. We're
Okay.
good on.
So
Yeah.
there's still a little bit of space left.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not to 2026, so it's not until a year away. So I think we do have some space. I mean, they are small ships. They probably, what do you have, 150
Yeah, on
cabins?
sold out sailings, we average about 150.
So
So
that you took about 75 cabins, but regardless, right now with the panorama suite with the balcony, so the ship with the balcony, the price per person is starting at $6,500, and that's for a 14-night cruise and all the inclusions that y'all just mentioned. So it is a great deal. It's not only fantastic, like you're talking about all the activities that are included, all the food that's included, the wellness activities, but it's for 2 weeks in Europe. I mean, that's a great deal.
and once again, including a half day of guided sightseeing at every stop, and some days you even get 2 of them. Yeah, that's like buying 2 shore excursions a day if you're in the Caribbean, because those are averaging about 2 hours each, where ours are literally half day, as Leetta said earlier, starting right after breakfast and not getting back till lunchtime. So that's quite a bit of value there, as well as including happy hour, unlimited regional beer and wine and soft drinks, and also specialty coffees that are available 24/7. So there's a lot of value here.
great. And then the other thing before we go, I just wanted to, point out something that I think I'm really excited about for, hopefully I'll experience it next week, but definitely starting next year is the night events. So do you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
sure. We'll get a little bit into it. So we'll be starting what we call Avalon After Dark, starting in 2026. And essentially, what this is going to do is allow us to do a little bit more on the overnight stays in some of the towns and villages, where it gives all of our passengers the opportunity to maybe going back into town in the evening independently. Maybe going to some of the cafes or else restaurants if you'd like to try some of those, or else just doing some in town walking and shopping and sightseeing on your own. If you've been to Europe, you know that the towns and villages totally transform themselves after the sun goes down. And this gives you the opportunity to see it during the daytime as well as in the evening. It'll also give us the opportunity to have more localized entertainment on board. The way that we operate currently right now is that entertainment gets on board, but we have to stay in port until they get off because we don't have enough cabins to hold them over for the next port of call. So with us doing more overnights is also going to give us the opportunity for more localized entertainment. And part of the after dark as well. Hopefully, weather permitting, we're going to try to close down the dining room for at least one night for dinner, and then have dining on the sky deck, which is the observation deck out in the open air. Now, I say weather permitting, especially if it's going to be really crisp and cool. It may not be a great idea in October, but we'll wait and see what the weather looks like and hopefully have that neat experience for you guys as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the things that I've kind of read, and we'll see what's happening, is that you already had more evening entertainment than I had been used to on other boats, which would just normally have like a piano person or maybe more speakers. Occasionally, local talent would come on board and perform. But I mean, on one of my evenings with Avalon, we had a jazz band come on, and we were a bunch of people from New Orleans, and they were playing New Orleans jazz. And you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
gypsies. Or it's just a little more. One of the ladies who started dancing, she was going to jump up on the little piano, and they had to stop her because she was just going to do some beautiful swan moment on the piano. But now you're going to be really kind of bringing more of that sort of lively stuff to the evenings. I'm
absolutely. But we still have, some of the things we're known for, including, even karaoke probably in an evening and some other neat things that'll be going on that you can participate in if you like. The days are long and the nights are great too. But I can tell you, I'm always grateful to hit the bed, that evening, because the next morning it all starts all over again.
right. Yeah,
We can
absolutely.
So
go to the
if
next
you,
slide. For those of y'all who have joined us, Patrick, if you want
oops,
to go to the
sorry
next
about
slide,
that.
just to, no, that's perfect. Okay. Anyway, just a reminder, Travel Central is dedicated to be your ultimate travel resource. We've been in business actually for 37 years. We're located here right out of New Orleans. And we will be sending you an email with the recording, and you can actually contact Leetta at the phone, and her information will be in the email that you receive. Thank you for joining us. Unless you have any more things, I think we should go ahead and say goodbye to everybody and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Melinda. Thanks, Leetta, and everyone for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.